Well, our Huck's hero tonight are three brothers who served in the U.S. Armed Forces in Afghanistan and then the reserves until 2020. The youngest has written their story. It's the story of a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, and how their Marine brother became a war's sole survivor. By telling their story, he honors his brothers and all the fallen and their families. The legacy of service and their willingness to sacrifice for our country and our freedom are why these three wise men are our Huck's heroes.
My name is Beau. I grew up the youngest of four in South Arkansas. My oldest brother was named Jeremy, and then my older brother Ben, and my sister Heather, and myself. And then after growing up, Jeremy became a Navy SEAL. Ben would enlist in the Army. Those two were larger than life, and then Ben would go a step further and become a Green Beret. In 2008, finally, I'd leave college and enlist in the Marine Corps. We communicated, Ben and myself, back and forth from Afghanistan, but Jeremy, unfortunately, we only had one interaction, and that was from his, where he was stationed at Fob Chapman in Coast Province, Afghanistan, to my little patrol base in Helmand Province, Afghanistan. And that was the last time I spoke to him. He was killed by a suicide bomber in Fob Chapman, December 30th, 2009. We buried him and very swiftly went back to Afghanistan and finished our respective deployments. Ben's battalion got extended. My battalion came home on time, and as he was wrapping up that deployment, he was in a firefight in Balkh Province, Afghanistan, and he was shot multiple times and succumbed to his wounds on January 15th, 2012. The sole survivor designation, I never really knew for sure what the entire restrictions were. In the end, looking back, I think it was, I do believe the Commandant made the best decision, and I understand it being a father now. At the time, I was frustrated, and being removed from the infantry kind of made me feel like I didn't have an outlet. And one day I started journaling. It was a lot easier back then, especially for me to write than it was to speak. Ended up being a very, very healthy outlet for me. And then one day I got approached about honoring Jeremy and Ben with a book, and we worked nearly 3 years interviewing Green Berets and SEALs and collecting combat stories and trying to honor their memory as best as we can.
Please join me in honoring our Huck's heroes, Jeremy, Ben, and joining us here in studio, their brother, Beau. Beau, this is a story, it's very emotional just to even sit and visit with you and to read the book. Two older brothers, they're both killed in Afghanistan. You're the only one left. The Marine Commandant says, we got to get you home. Sure. Because they didn't want the entire family wiped out in Afghanistan. And I know your first reaction was not, oh, good, I get to get out of this place. You were angry at the Commandant at first.
Yes, sir, a little bit.
You wanted to stay. I mean, I think all of us are having a hard time understanding. Why would you want to stay in a place that had already taken both your brothers?
Well, it wasn't really the thought of Afghanistan. It was the thought of my fellow Marines. And it kind of, I happened into the Marine Corps, but I fell in love with it. And it was, just 30 guys in my platoon that just made it home, and it was 30 guys in the next platoon. And so wherever I went, I just, one of those clicks, everything just kind of came together. And it was not just grief after losing two brothers, it was fear of losing my brotherhood as well. And I think that was one of the things that, shocked me at first.
Was there something that your parents kind of drilled into you that made you patriots, that made you want to serve and make that kind of sacrifice? Because it just seems unusual that when one family you'd have this much commitment, a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, and a Marine, for heaven's sakes.
Sir. Yes, sir. Actually, my mom asked the same question, and she asked it to Jeremy one time. And he said, Mom, it was you. Because she used to give us, World War II stories, and she was quite the historian. Her father served in World War II, and her uncle as well. So we got a lot of that exposure very, very early. So, and we always just kind of aspired to it. And I think, you know, Ben was the first to just take the plunge, and that, I think, inspired Jeremy and inspired me, and it just started the trickle effect, and we just all found our own individual place.
I know that there are days that it must just be very, very painful to think about your brothers and that they're not there with you anymore. How do you cope with that?
You know, I don't think that there's a perfect solution, but I could tell you the way that I initially responded to it by withdrawing from my faith was led me down a very, very dark path. But getting back into my family and, you know, with just healing the wounds with my marriage, which were self-inflicted mostly by me, if not entirely by me. And then we eventually, God blessed us, and we adopted 2 children, and now we've just invested in our own family and doing everything we can to, you know, stay healthy and stay straight.
I hope every person will get the book and read it and be reminded of what people are willing to do for the rest of us. Beau,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you,
God
sir.
bless you. This book is a stirring, intimate portrait of combat and the strength of family in the most trying of times. 3 Wise Men. It's available now. I can't imagine anything that'll make you more appreciative of our country and the men and women who fight for it than this book, 3 Wise Men.